Welcome once again to the PTE Plus online classroom. Today we're going to be looking at PTE Reading Fill in the Blanks. Now, many of you may be thinking to yourself, hang on a second, didn't we already have fill in the blanks? And yet, there are essentially two different fill in the blanks part for the PTE exam. They can be broken down into PTE Reading Fill in the Blanks and PTE Reading and Writing Fill in the Blanks. Now, obviously the two are similar in the sense that they're both like closed passages, something we're very used to in high school and something that we need to choose options from. But they're also radically different in terms of what they look like and the different sort of techniques that we're going to be utilizing. So this is the first lesson for reading fill in the blanks. And in today's lesson, we're going to be discussing what is PTE reading fill in the blanks, and we're going to be doing a practice question to help sort of further cement your understanding for what this particular question type is and what it's asking for. So without further ado, once again, let's hop on to the PTE official website to have a look at the video and see what their requirements are in the video.
Reading. Fill in the blanks. For this item type, you see a text with some missing words. You need to drag and drop words across the screen to correctly fill in the gaps in the text. You have a list of words in the blue box that you can use to fill the gaps in the text. There are more words than gaps, so you will not use all the words provided.
So we can see here in the clip, this is officially from the PTE website, and it's what the actual examination will be looking like. On the top right hand corner, we've got obviously time remaining and how many questions we've got left. So these are all key pieces of information in helping us to sort of manage our own time. Now, in terms of the actual display screen, we've got our instructions here at the top, which reads, in the text below, some words are missing. Drag words from the box below to the appropriate place in the text. To undo an answer choice, drag back the word to the box. So here we've got our passage. Now this passage, although the PTE website and the PTE system doesn't specify how long the passage is, it's not too long usually. I mean, in our own experience, it's usually up to 80 words and no more than that. In the bottom, in the blue box, we've got all our choices. For the observant students, you'll have noticed that there are more choices than there are boxes, and this is intentional. There are always going to be more words than there are boxes. We recommend you to take around 30 seconds per question with each blank in it. So what this means is, because this question has 4 blanks, we want to be taking 2 minutes to complete. And for a question with 5 blanks, obviously we want 2.5 minutes, and likewise with 3 blanks, we'd only want 1.5 minutes. Why do we say this? It's because the marks are allocated according to each blank and not according to each question. So that's why it's important we sort of allocate our marks according to our time. Okay, now let's get into the scoring. How does the scoring system work here? So we can see here that the scoring is actually quite straightforward because we don't have a lot of things to worry about. We don't have to worry about spelling or grammar or any of that. We just get 1 mark for each answer which is scored correctly, and with 0 being a minimum score, obviously. So the good thing about this particular section of the exam is that there are no deductive marks. So that means if you're ever running out of time or if you're not sure what to do, just see how your luck is. Take a guess. Pick one of the 4 or 5 different options and you'll be able to have a pretty good chance of getting it right. So why do we have all this information at the bottom? It's because the read aloud section of the exam also contributes towards your reading score. Well, sounds obvious, right? It's got the word read in it. But the confusing part is the read aloud part is actually in the speaking section of the PTE exam. So I want to emphasize, if you want to achieve band 50, you also need to be working on your speaking, especially your read aloud section. Because if you do poorly in your read aloud section, not only are you going to do badly in your speaking, but it's also going to be negatively affecting your score here for your listening section. And if you want to achieve band 5, you need to make sure that you have at least 60% of your answers correct for the listening section, not just this part, but every single part of your listening test, as well as make sure that your pronunciation and fluency are over 65. This is because pronunciation and fluency are both important factors within your read aloud section. So that's why we need to make sure that our pronunciation and fluency are also high in order to do well in read aloud. And finally, in order to achieve 79, which is equivalent to the IELTS Band 8, we need to keep an 80% accuracy on all our listening sections. And we also need to make sure that pronunciation and fluency are over 79. Now, obviously, this isn't definitely a rule, but it's definitely a recommendation, because if we're getting scores of lower than 79 for those particular parts, in our experience, it's actually quite hard for us to achieve 79. So now that you've developed a better understanding for the scoring for this particular section of the test, as well as speaking overall, let's look at a sample question. Remember how we said earlier that we're going to give ourselves 30 seconds for each of the choices? Now there are a total of 4 different fill-in-the-blank choices, which means that we're going to give ourselves 2 minutes. So you can pause the video now and count.
OK， 大家可以开始暂停了。好，2分钟的时间转瞬即逝，过得那么快，对吧？大家应该也都做完了，不管对还是错。那么现在呢，我们来看一下答案吧，看看我们是怎么做这样子一道题。If 什么 wolves to the sky， 回归到一个字。自然的状态，怎么不管答案这个速度，reintroducing。OK。
Because if you know the words well, acquainting is something that humans do, whereas introducing would be more suitable for use on animals. So this is a very small sort of nuance and detail that requires a lot of understanding. So in any case, you can narrow it down to a 50-50 between reacquainting and reintroducing. And reintroducing would be the correct answer, because reacquainting just sounds weird if we add it in. Now let's move on to the second question. Debate on this topic has been raging for many years. Something would like you to see highland environment return to its natural state. So once again, in analyzing the sentence, can we chunk it? Can we break it down? Debate on this topic has been raging for many years. Is this really important? No, not really, right? The important part is below. Something would like to see the environment return to its natural state. What would like to see? Could it be a verb? No, it has to be a noun or a subject. In this case, probably someone, right? Someone would like to see, because it'd be weird to say animals would like to see. So it has to be people. Now let's look again at our choices. Proponents, activists, what could it be? A propensity. Now, which one of these equals people? Once again, it's sort of testing our ability to have vocabulary knowledge. Because we know that the noun is likely to be a person, activist is the only thing that fits the description. Activists would like to see, and there it makes sense, right? And now let's move on to number 3. Opponents, something the animals, something for killing livestock. Oh no, are you panicking because we've got 2 words close together? No, don't worry, okay? Let's think about it logically. So opponents, something at the animals. So opponents obviously is a noun, the animals also a noun. What goes in the middle of 2 nouns? It has to be a verb. A verb in the simple present tense. So either cite or accuse. Opponents cite the animals. Okay, we can leave it for the moment being. You can fill out the bottom half and see if it's easier. Opponents, something the animals, for killing livestock. So here it has to be a noun. It better be something neutral or negative, because killing livestock is considered bad. So the only real option we have here is propensity. So opponent, something the animals, propensity for killing livestock. Now, can you really accuse animals for propensity, or do you cite animals for propensity? So obviously you would cite, which is talk about, instead of accuse the animals, because this is clearly a fact, so opponents can just talk about it being a fact rather than accuse the animals. Because it doesn't make sense to accuse the animals, right? You accuse humans, whereas you cite facts and you cite animals for doing such things. So you can see here that through today's lesson, we've been able to learn quite a few new words. For example, hackle. Hackle means either the erectile hairs along an animal's back, which raises when an animal is angry or alarmed, or in third person represents stress or calm with a hackle. So obviously this definition doesn't make sense. Hackle for us would be the first definition. Acquaint would be make someone aware or familiar with, and propensity means a natural tendency to behave in a particular way. We should always be doing and building these word lists of words that we see on the PTE Plus platform, because words we see on the PTE Plus platform are also likely to show up in the real exam. So it's a good idea for us to be building these vocabulary lists. Anyway, thank you for joining me today on the PTE Plus platform. I hope to see you all very soon in continuing to talk about these type of questions.